it's Atma here, back with another deck tech. I know it's been a little while since I've done one. I was actually practicing for a regional Pro Tour qualifier. I didn't win, but them's the breaks. As a result, I haven't been playing that much Duels, but I've been playing some. And enough to have a decent grasp of what's going on. And unfortunately, sorry, I almost queued for a game there. Unfortunately, 5-color Planeswalkers is still a huge problem. And this deck is not actually super well equipped to deal with it, except for the fact that it fights board wipes pretty well through a lot of reoccursion. This deck is also extremely weak to Sphinx's tutelage decks because it self-mills and just helps them win. Nevertheless, here it is. Black-green Delirium. This is actually a similar version of the deck that eliminated me from the Pro Tour qualifier, which was Jund Delirium. This doesn't have red because there's not enough copies of Kozilek's Return in Magic Duels to actually make it worth splashing red. But basically, this is the way it works. You run some Vessel of Nascency, fills your yard, gets you a creature. You run Gather the Pact, fills your yard, gets you a creature. And then once your yard's filled with a bunch of stuff, you grapple with the past. Sometimes you have to grapple first, but as a general design philosophy, you want to grapple last. There's actually not that many Delirium creatures, but it's still Delirium because, I don't know. I can't call it anything else. Ishkanah, there's one. I would run probably two if I could. And then this is another Delirium creature. 3/3 Death Touch for 1 mana is just absurd rate. You can get this thing outclassed, but it's still just good. I actually should probably run 3, but and you could. Like I would actually, you could drop Kalitas or something for that. Sylvan Advocate because we have a little bit of ramp. I know that I've scorned ramp pretty heavily in my previous videos, but we ramp in this a little bit, so Sylvan Advocate's good. Similarly, Tireless Tracker is good for basically the same reason, except this gains you some card advantage. I've got a small suite of Planeswalkers. Nissa, Liliana is like the super Delirium activator, and Ob Nixilis is more card advantage, and one of the few ways to actually kill a creature. We have 2 Fleshbag Marauders for that. We have Ob Nixilis and 2 Languish. So we can't really take huge advantage of Kalitas, which is why I mentioned it. Usually we force them to trade in combat when he's on board, and that's how we make zombies, but it's also relevant against aggro. Sometimes turn 4, 3/4 gain some life is pretty backbreaking. There's one Baloth Null because it's like a super Gravedigger, and it's got a body that survives Languish. The real big daddy here is Distended Mindbender. I'll sacrifice almost anything to look at their hand. And it all leads up to Ulamog, of course. We don't ramp into it that hard. We're not an all-in Ulamog deck. We're kind of a stall-out, clog the board, card advantage, trade creatures, get them back type of deck. And then all of a sudden, we grapple with the past or something and get Ulamog out of the yard and just kill them. And there's one Duskwatch Recruiter because this thing is really good at just finding creatures. If you need to dig for something, the most common thing that's important to dig for is Reclaimation Sage. I was running one, but I actually tried to record a video the other night of this deck, and I went against Sphinx's tutelage 3 times in a row, and I lost all 3 of them. So I decided I needed to just stop that video and retool the deck a little bit to fight that deck better and then re-record it. So here I am. Mindwrack Demon does everything we want to do, like hit hard in the air and fill the yard. Did I miss anything? This gets stuff back from the graveyard. I mean, you guys have seen decks like this before. And this is just the orientation that I've chosen. I think the only thing I could even conceive of doing different is trying to add a Gnarlwood Dryad and probably cutting something else. I could also see... Well, I like Pilgrim's Eye. I don't really want to cut it. Anyway, we'll try some games and see how it works out. Hopefully better than back-to-back-to-back tutelage losses. I'm not afraid of uploading a video with me losing every single game, even though that doesn't really inspire confidence for the deck that I've chosen. And I do think that this is a pretty good deck in the meta. It's definitely not the best, but it's pretty good. As you can see, I'm ranked 32 right now. That's on the back of some tutelage losses for sure. So this hand is like a mulligan to 6 because it has Ulamog in the opening hand. You never want it. This is a mulligan to 6 because it has 1 land, and I literally have to mulligan to 6. This is okay. We actually can only cast 1 spell, but what are we going to do? Go to 5? I would say that our best hand was the first hand that had Ulamog in it because we had a play and a grapple with the past, but we didn't have black. It was keepable, but not great. I took a chance and I ended up with worse, so we'll see what happens. Black-white usually is a lead into some planeswalker type strategy. Usually it's black-white-green. But sometimes it's just 4 or 5 color planeswalkers. Occasionally it's just black-white, but that's like best case scenario. It's just black-white. It means our Rec Sage is not going to do tons. This thing will probably die, yeah. I expected that. These kinds of kill spell decks usually don't matter because we have so many ways to get things out of our yard. And we really don't have so many ways, but we have enough ways to where 1-for-1 removal doesn't really beat us that badly. Thought-Knot Seer does, though, which, now that he has colorless in his deck, is likely. He probably is playing a Distended Mindbender, Thought-Knot Seer type of deck. And that being the case, we're not really well equipped to win right this second. Tireless Tracker. Well, if he takes that with a Distended Mindbender, we're in trouble. We could easily just lose right away if he Distended Mindbenders. Takes Tireless Tracker, takes Languish, we lose the game. He gets value off his sacrifice, so we just will lose. We'll also probably lose if he just plays Gideon. We don't really have a hand that beats Gideon right this second. Okay, so he definitely is going to Distended Mindbender. That makes me want to languish his board and hope that he hits something other than a creature, a 3-drop creature with Matter Reshaper. It's a little too cute to try and Rec Sage because we really need to get both of his things off the board. It's too bad we don't have 7 mana. Alright, so I'm just going to languish here and take my chances because I just don't want to get Mindbendered at all. It would be very, very, very bad at this point. Like, this is a miserable languish. This is actually just negative card advantage to do this, probably. I'm going to do it anyway. Just knowing what my opponent's deck is now, like, it's too risky. He hit a creature anyway, so we're just foobar. A Mindbender here just ends the game on the spot. He may not want to sacrifice this Ilia though. Okay, Thought-Knot Seer. That's not as bad, but it's bad. I don't think we can actually win because of everything that he just did. Like, I think the game's over. Our languish wouldn't have helped even if we saved it. We have 5 card types. It's a reasonable play, but he has 4 cards, and it's like obscenely likely that he has a kill spell, so him killing this Ishkanah with even Anguished Unmaking is just going to be an end to our little roadblock here. One of the key ways to win this game is to just reoccur Ishkanah over and over again, because it creates such an annoying set of blocking situations. Yep. So I don't want to get my Ishkanah exiled, but I will, because I won't. Well, I don't know. I guess I will because I want to draw a card. And I could potentially just draw another Languish and just kill all of his things. Not exactly in the best situation right now, so I gotta do what I gotta do. The fact that he still has plays... Oh, it's this. This is what it's held. Okay, the sacrifice. It's nice that they fixed the priority issue where it would skip. Unless I draw exactly Languish, the play is going to be Tireless Tracker, land, crack a clue. See what we get. It's actually tempting to not crack it. Just because I'm going to need a bigger tracker and he might kill this one. Spatial contortion, he certainly did. This is a 1-for-1 trade for a token, so I have no problem doing it. Oh, he's got a kill spell. Well, that's what happens when you have everything. Oh, he's sacrificing it. Okay, that's fair. Ob Nixilis is our only out to this now, but we can also block with this land eventually. Crack. Hopefully we find an untapped land. We did. Crack it again. So here we're basically not blocking with this Tireless Tracker under any circumstances. He could have something insane here like Reality Smasher and I would basically just give up. The funny thing is like his deck is okay. I've played black-white with colorless before and it was okay. But he really just, like, this Kalitas is kind of a counter to us because we're trying to play with the graveyard and he's just exiling all our things we wanted to get back, so there's very little hope there. I'm going to try and block this zombie because whatever. He wants to go to 8. It's perfectly fine. Yep. So he can just start exiling us with Eiley pretty soon, like the next turn, but I was willing to let Eiley live because I did not want to have my things exiled right this second. Alright, so what we have to do, we could find a Fleshbag Marauder, which would be like somewhat of a saving grace right now. Another Death Touch guy is decent. Ulamog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're not really close at all from doing that. So he has enough mana to, if he actually could draw, let's see, 1, 2. I don't think he can exile 3 things. I think he can only exile 2 things with Eiley. The fact that he can exile things at all is because he has Kalitas. I mean, he's got a mythic and a rare, and we're lost because of it, but we'll see. More than likely, he'll just exile these 2 things and attack, and I'll just block and hope I draw the right things. Okay, so he's activating this land, which means he's not exiling anything. Seems like a mistake. He probably has never used this ability. Oh, maybe he's activating the land because that's what he wants to sacrifice. That makes a weird amount of sense. You got it, dude. It's pretty rough, just having everything get exiled. I guess I'll do it this way. Baloth Null. Do we have anything good left? We can only get 2 guys left, and one of them is a Pilgrim's Eye. Pilgrim's Eye is actually okay, I guess. Yeah, Pilgrim's Eye is actually okay. We're just going to let this Kalitas get just prohibitively large, but what are you going to do? What do I want him to kill more? I guess this is what I'd rather have him kill. This is what happens when Kalitas goes unanswered for literally ever. We need to draw land this turn, because our only out now, I think, is Ulamogging. We could potentially Greenwarden of Murasa and make something happen, but I doubt it. So that's pretty much a perfect draw. Play that. Play this. I'm going to threaten this land activation, but I'm not actually super excited to do it. He paused for a second there. Makes me think he has something like a removal spell. $45 life. It's pretty hilarious. We could actually win this game, though. He probably has Anguished Unmaking to answer our Ulamog as soon as possible, but maybe not. So I guess I could just trade. Although he probably has. I guess he has spatial contortion. Spatial contortion being the case, I'll make him use it. So we're going to try and find a land with this vessel. Now that we've dealt with the biggest problem on the board. We'll just hope that we don't get Thought Not Seared here. That's the wrong land. So that actually puts us quite a bit behind on this. Probably should have got the Nissa there. I'm such an idiot. That was definitely a get the Nissa, since we had to delay a turn anyway. Maybe I should have just chump blocked that Kalitas and play the Ulamog so I could start being the aggressor. We'll see if this works out. Hopefully he doesn't find Thought Not Seer for the immediate punish. Ob Nixilis. That's actually nice because it's a target for this Ulamog eventually. The only problem is it draws him too many cards. It's another good target for Ulamog. So he's played a lot of rares and a lot of good things. Oh, we got it right away. Okay. This is not how most games are going to play out. If he has Anguish on Making, we lose. We need to at least attack once. Most of the time, like, this is a weird, like, most of the time we're not going to have a whole bunch of things exiled by Kalitas. This is not a very common matchup. Distended Mindbender seems insane, because if he has anything, we can see what the hell it is. I'm going to do it right now, just because I just need to see. It was a Languish. Well, he left the game. He wasn't dead. He was not dead. Because he could have just drawn Anguish Unmaking. But okay, so that was a weird game. I probably made a play mistake there. I should have probably chump blocked instead of activated the land for the Kalitas, but I'm a little rusty at my Magic Duels game, I guess. That was a weird one to win. It felt like a loss because Kalitas is so good at making us not get stuff out of our graveyard, but we did it. With our huge delay tactics. This hand is okay, even without black. But it's not great. The fact that we have Gather over the Pack is beneficial. I actually kind of want a mulligan, though. This is actually the same hand, except it has black, so it's just better. We do need to get a land. Grapple with the past wouldn't be bad either. Alright, so there's the land. We don't need to Death Touch guy right away. Decent but not great draw. Black-white. Is this the same guy? I always forget. Nope. Abzan. So Abzan's almost as good as it was, which is excellent, unfortunately. I expect to get languished after playing these two guys, but we'll get 3 damage in. We'll get 3 damage and get 2 for 1. So that's cool. I know we have Languish in our hand, but he didn't look like somebody that was jamming, so this Languish is probably just a dead card now. If he plays nothing here, he's telegraphing Super Languish Town, for sure. Yep. 100% will be Languish next turn. So we're just going to do nothing. So what are we missing for Delirium here? So we got land, creature, sorcery. So we need an instant or possibly this Planeswalker hitting the yard. See, he's running Rec Sage too, because Sphinx's tutelage decks are very common now. I think that's a meta choice. Like, they're really good against Delirium. Delirium is very much a thing, as you can see since I'm playing it. Very predictable Languish there, of course. Grapple with the Past, almost a perfect draw. I think I fire it off now because I want to play a creature, and I can at least get back Advocate. Getting a land there is like reasonable because you can Ob Nixilis, but I think it's better to just try and naturally draw a land and have this creature on board that they have to answer. This actually makes me want to Languish, which is negative card advantage, but I would rather just kill it with Ob Nixilis if I can. Hopefully that'll happen. Yeah, this is unfortunate that we did not hit a land. He also has the mana to do what he wants, so we're gonna have to just sit here and take it. As long as he doesn't play his own Ob Nixilis here, I think we'll be okay. Reeve Soul. Unfortunate. Unfortunate that I couldn't get some value out of that. So that was absurd. He has the value card and all the kill spells, so we pretty much lost the game right that second. If he follows this up with Sorin, there's no way to win with 0 board presence. Even Ob Nixilis killing his thing against Sorin, we'd still lose. I mean, this is the obvious play right here. Alright, so Planeswalker against nothing seems good. He even has a manland so he can fight our Planeswalker. It's pretty absurd. He also has this zombie. His draw was excellent. He has more cards than us, more things on board, more creatures, more Planeswalkers, more land. He just has everything. No. I think getting an untapped land next turn to like Rec Sage and Liliana would be really convenient. But I don't think we can win anyway. Because he's still going to have Anguished Unmakings in our deck, in his deck, so he'll just be able to kill these Planeswalkers. Oh, Gideon, yep. Yep, good old Abzan. I kind of want to just leave now, but I usually fight just in case I can do something. But like Liliana and Ob Nixilis does nothing against Gideon. So the game is just 100% over. There's absolutely no way to win. There's no combination of cards that would help me win now. Not even Ulamog. Like, we would just die to the manlands and there's just no way to win whatsoever. It's probably better to hit the clue, like, on average, like, if he was tapped out, but... Since Liliana dies here, I think we just... minus. I'd love to say we have a win, but he has 7 cards in his hand. 2 planeswalkers, 3 creatures, a manland. He has more of everything than anybody has ever had. It's pretty obvious, just trade here. We're going to die to the Ob Nixilis ultimate anyway, so whatever. Yeah. We'll call it. There's no way to win. This deck is actually really susceptible to losing to Gideon. It's just something that happens. I'm going to make this the last game. See if I can impart some more tips with it that don't involve being way behind and winning with Ulamog randomly. Well, it wasn't random, but it happened. Grapple with the past is something you don't want to just fire off unless you're desperate. Like, if the game is stable, you usually want to tactically use it to make sure you get good value. Sand is not great. I just can't keep it. Sand is way better. I must keep it. We can't really turn on Gnarlwood Dryad, so it's not that important having it turn 1. And since we drew this Vessel, that's much better. Depending on how fast he is will depend on what I do next. Oh, another Abzan. People do love their Abzan, that's for sure. He's going to be able to play something because he'll have 4 mana next turn. So I think the best plan is to... I think the best plan is actually to crack this and just have more options. I'm cracking it now just because I want to actually have a good idea of what I'm working with. And what I'm working with is Liliana. Tireless Tracker was also a very good choice because we may get into a long game, but him knowing that we have Liliana coming may mean something. Okay, so it means nothing. He just plays a Planeswalker that does nothing. Oh, but he has... Okay, sure. So he just has a bunch of stuff. Cool. So now he has enough guys that Liliana doesn't actually do that much. In fact, she just dies to a Liliana minus. So I think the clear plan here is lose the game. Oh boy. Alright, so we'll play 2 guys, and he'll get another Planeswalker. As unfair as that is. I'm not really sure what kind of deck plays Kythian and Deathcap Cultivator, but we just found out. If he kills this guy, this Gnarlwood Dryad, that's very annoying. I'm willing to trade with almost anything here. If he minuses and tries to give indestructible, I'll let him go indestructible, I think. Although I may want to crack back. I don't actually know what I want to do. If he attacked with everything, I think I block with I block this token, and then I just try and trade with this one and try and crack back. Wow. Gideon. Let's just play 3 planeswalkers in 2 turns. Let's do that. So he must be playing some kind of like just tokens. So I'm absolutely going to play this Liliana, because this Distended Mindbender now is going to find nothing because he just played his whole damn hand. Best path to victory seems to be getting a indestructible guy off the board. He'll probably just attack with Gideon only here. If I attack, I just don't get anything out of it. If he was to play a land and a creature and then a land and then a Westvale Abbey, it's just going to be the roughest. I don't know how people draw all their planeswalkers like right away. I find that just impossible, but they always do it. Let's see, is it worth trading anything? I think it's not. All right. So I'm gonna do this. See if he sacrifices one of these. If he has Avacyn here, by the way, I just kill myself because of how unfair that would be. Okay, so he gets rid of that. And then we'll just attack. And attack Gideon. Because he's gonna make the same blocks anyway. I guess I'll commit this guy to the board. Killing Gideon is the most important thing in every single game ever. It's just way too strong. So he's definitely like a tokens deck, Abzan tokens, and his plan is to Westvale Abbey people. He just happened to get the make every planeswalker thing, so he's just gonna win because of that. And he'll randomly find like Ulamog, I'm sure. I certainly don't want to trade this entire board basically just to get in. I have a mind to get this Distended Mindbender out there, just as a big body. Tragic Arrogance. Well, he was never going to cast that, that's for sure. Not with his godlike draw. Let's see, if I traded this and this, I still wouldn't be making any headway whatsoever. It's pretty unfortunate. I definitely think the game is 100% over. Just planeswalkers. That's all you need to say about that. I would give anything to kill this Gideon now that it's at 1. But it's not going to happen. Not with 5 guys against 3. I'm not sure what path to victory I could ever hope to get at this point. Well, that's a start. Get to play 2 of my own planeswalkers and see what happens. The question of where to plus here or not is actually a good question. I think I do plus. I just need to find more things that are relevant. That's actually quite relevant. Even though he gets to sit here and do what he wants with these planeswalkers, and he gets to find his Ulamog and everything with this From Beyond. And we can't win the game. I mean, he just has too much of a wall going on with these tokens, and he has planeswalkers that are just safe beyond belief. And he's probably going to draw a million cards, too. I just don't know how I can ever attack his things. So he's just going to crack off this From Beyond, and he'll probably have Ulamog in his deck, because why not? There he goes. All he wanted to do is kill these planeswalkers, and he waited till I played them, so... Although that's interesting, he found nothing? He failed to find? I don't get it. Okay, so he left the game because he didn't have Ulamog in his deck. I'll take that win. We actually had a path to victory, provided he didn't Ulamog, so it's kind of funny. Because we were at 8 mana and we had 2 planeswalkers of our own. So that was a weird game. I almost don't want to call it a win. I'm actually going to do... I'm not going to do one more. This has already been 43 minutes. I don't want to go too long. But that's the deck, and I'm sorry for the giant lapse in time. I'll just put a whole bunch of new videos up this week and make up for lost time. Hope you'd enjoy. I actually lost all 3 of those games, but got to win 2 of them. Go figure.